So the last stage of the writing process is when you hand in your final draft of a writing paper, of your research paper. So given all the time and effort you have put into your research project, you want to make sure that your final draft represents your best work. This requires taking the time to revise and edit your paper carefully. You may feel like you need a break from your paper before you revise and edit it. That is understandable, but leave yourself with enough time to complete this important stage of the writing process. In this section, you will learn the specific strategies that are crucial for revising and editing a research paper. Revising your paper, organization, and cohesion. When writing a research paper, it is easy to become overly focused on editorial details, such as the proper format for your bibliography. These details do matter. However, before you begin to address them, it is important to spend time reviewing and revising the content of the paper. A good research paper is both organized and cohesive. Organization means that your argument flows logically from one point to the next. Cohesion means that elements of your paper work together smoothly and naturally. In a cohesive research paper, information from research is seamlessly integrated with the writer's ideas. When you revise to improve organization, you look at the flow of ideas throughout the essay as a whole and within individual paragraphs. You check to see that your essay moves logically from the introduction to the body paragraphs to the conclusion, and each section reinforces your thesis. Checklist revision. Does my introduction proceed clearly? Does each body paragraph have a clear main idea that relates to the thesis? Do the main ideas in the body paragraph flow in a logical order? Do I need to add or revise topic sentences? Does my conclusion summarize my main ideas? Does the topic sentence clearly state the main idea? Do the details in the paragraph relate to the main idea? Do I need to recast any sentences and transitions to improve the flow of sentences? So follow these steps to begin revising your paper's overall organization. Print out a hard copy of your paper. Read your paper paragraph by paragraph. Highlight your thesis and the topic sentence of each paragraph. Using the thesis and topic sentences as starting points, outline the ideas you presented just as you would as if you were outlining a chapter in a textbook, otherwise known as reverse outlining. Next, reread your paper more slowly, looking for how ideas flow from sentence to sentence. Identify places where adding a transition or recasting a sentence would make the ideas flow more logically. Review the topics on your outline. Is there a logical flow of ideas? Begin to revise your paper to improve organization. Start with any major issues, such as needing to move an entire paragraph, then proceed to minor revisions, such as adding a transitional phrase or tweaking a topic. You can also have someone else look at your paper to help you find mistakes. When you revise to improve cohesion, you analyze how the parts of your paper work together. You look for anything that seems awkward or out of place. Revision may involve deleting unnecessary material or rewriting parts of the paper so that the out-of-place material fits in smoothly. In a research paper, problems with cohesion usually occurs when a writer has trouble integrating source material. If facts or quotations have been awkwardly dropped into a paragraph, they distract or confuse the reader instead of working to support the writer's point. Overusing paraphrase and quoted material has the same effect. Checklist for cohesion. Does the opening of the paper clearly connect to the broader topic and thesis? Have I included support from research for each main point in the body of my paper? Have I included introductory material before any quotations? Does paraphrase and quoted materials clearly serve to develop my own points? Do I need to add or revise parts of the paper to help the reader understand how certain information from a source is relevant. Are there any places where I have overused material from sources? Does my conclusion make sense based on the rest of the paper? Understanding cohesion can also benefit you in the workplace, especially when you have to write and deliver a presentation. Speakers sometimes rely on cute graphics or funny quotations to hold their audience's attention. If you choose to use these elements, make sure they work well with the substantive content of your presentation. For example, if you are asked to give a financial presentation and the financial report shows that the company lost money, funny illustrations would not be relevant or appropriate for the presentation. Using a consistent style and tone. Once you are certain that the content of your paper fulfills your purpose, you can begin by revising to improve style and tone. Together, your style and tone create the voice of your paper or how you come across to readers. Style refers to the way you use language as a writer, the sentence structures you use, and the word choices you make. Tone is the attitude toward your subject and audience that you convey through your word choice. Determining an appropriate style and tone. Although accepted writing styles will vary, the underlying goal is the same, to come across to your readers as an authoritative guide. Writing about research is like being a tour guide who walks their readers through a topic. A stuffy, overly formal tour guide can make readers feel intimidated, but too much informality can make readers wonder whether the tour guide really knows what he or she is talking about. Extremely emotional language comes across as unbalanced. To help prevent being overly formal or informal, determine an appropriate style and tone at the beginning of the writing process. Consider your topic and audience, because these can help dictate style and tone. For example, a paper on new breakthroughs in cancer research should be more formal than a paper on ways to get a good night's sleep. A strong research paper comes across as straightforward, academic, and serious. It is generally best to avoid the first-person case, as this can make your paper seem overly subjective and opinionated. And so use this checklist to make sure you've got the right tone and style. My paper avoids excessive wordiness. My sentences are varied in length and structure. I have avoided using first-person case pronouns such as I and me. I have used the active voice whenever possible. I have defined specialized terms that might be unfamiliar to readers. I have used clear, straightforward language. My paper states my point of view using a balanced tone. Word choice is especially important aspect of tone. In addition to checking the points noted, review your paper to make sure your language is precise, conveys no unintended connotations, and is free of biases. Here are some of the points to check for: vague or imprecise terms, slang, repetition of the same phrases, exclusive use of masculine pronouns such as or awkward use of he or she, use of language with negative connotation, use of outdated terms to refer to ethnic, racial, or religious groups. Using plural nouns and pronouns or recasting a sentence can help keep your language gender neutral while avoiding awkwardness. Consider the following examples. Gender bias. When a writer cites a source in the body of his paper, he might list it on his references page. Awkward. When a writer cites a source in the body of his or her paper, he or she must list it on his or her reference page. Improved. Writers must list any sources cited in the body of a paper on the references page. In other words, if you can get rid of a lot of your wordiness in this case, and you just put in what's essential, then then you sound more authoritative and objective. As you revise your paper, make sure your style is consistent throughout. Look for instances where a word, phrase, or sentence just doesn't seem to fit with the rest of the writing. It is best to reread for style after you have completed the other revisions so that you are not distracted by any larger content issues. Revising strategies you can use include: read your paper out loud. Share your paper with another reader whom you trust to give you honest feedback. Line edit your paper slowly, sentence by sentence. After revising your paper to address problems in content or style, you will complete one final editorial review. And this is when you edit for grammar, mechanics, usage, spelling, errors in citing and formatting sources. Given how much work you have put into your paper, you will want to check for any errors that could distract or confuse your readers. And so here is a checklist. My paper is free of grammatical errors, punctuation errors, common usage errors, spelling errors, and editing errors. And so when editing a research paper, it is important to check that you have cited your sources properly and formatted your document according to the specified guidelines to avoid plagiarism. And so here is a guideline to make sure that you did the correct APA or MLA formatting. Within the body of my paper, each idea taken from a source is credited. Each in-text citation includes the author's name, the date, and each source cited in the body of my paper has a corresponding entry in the reference section. My reference section includes a heading and double-spaced alphabetized entries. Each entry in my reference section is indented on the second line and all subsequent lines. Each entry in my reference section includes all the necessary information for that source type in the correct sequence and format. My paper includes a title page, running head, and the margins of my paper are set to 1 inch. Text is double-spaced and set in a standard of 12-point font. So following APA or MLA citation may require time and effort. However, it is a good practice for learning how to follow the APA in any professional field. Many large corporations create a style manual with guidelines for editing and formatting documents produced by that corporation. Employees follow the style manual when creating internal documents and documents for publication. So let's say you work for a newspaper, and your newspaper is going to have its own style manual just for the journalists. And so I know that because my brother talks about the style manual for journalism when he cites his sources. Okay, so he would mention, and the journalism, my journalism style manual does this. I don't even remember what he said. Anyway, organization in a research paper means that the argument proceeds logically from the introduction to the body to the conclusion. It flows logically from one point to the next. When revising a research paper, evaluate the organization of the paper as a whole and the organization of individual paragraphs. In a cohesive research paper, the elements of the paper work together smoothly and naturally. When revising a research paper, evaluate its cohesion. In particular, check that information from research is smoothly integrated with your ideas. An effective research paper uses a style and tone that are appropriately academic and serious. When revising a research paper, check that the style and tone are consistent throughout. Editing a research paper involves checking for errors in grammar, mechanics, punctuation, usage, spelling, citation, and formatting. And so this ends this video on revision and in preparing your final draft. And so if you have any questions, feel free to email me anytime. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the Professor H Writing channel.